Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for Workbar Live. My name is Chelsea Hildreth, the Events and Partnerships Manager at Workbar, and it's our pleasure to welcome Jake Burkowski, the VP of Engineering from Run as Cloud, who will present on Amazon Workspaces. Just a little bit about Jake and the company. Run as Cloud is an advanced cloud computing company with expertise in enabling companies to be more secure, performant, and efficient in the cloud. Run as Cloud has been named an advanced consulting partner by Amazon, and Jake holds a master's degree in cybersecurity from Fordham University, and he's also a certified information systems security professional. Just a few notes for our guests and attendees. If you're new to Zoom webinars, it'll be best for you to have your screen on gallery mode, which you can see in the top right corner of your screen. And Jake will be presenting via screen share on how to use the platform, and then we'll be taking questions. You can enter these by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So Jake, thank you again for joining us today. Can you start by telling us a little bit more about Run as Cloud before we jump into your presentation?
Sure thing, Chelsea. Thanks for that intro. So Run as Cloud, we're a Boston and Miami-based cloud consulting company. Focus on workloads on AWS and Azure. And we have an emphasis on architecture, DevOps, and security. We work with enterprises and small businesses to help them achieve their cloud goals using a lot of DevOps and a lot of automation. I'm, as you said, the VP of Engineering for Run as Cloud. Been with the company about 3 years. Originally, I'm from New York, but moved up here to Boston about 2 years ago. And I have about a decade of professional experience, having been a developer, engineer, architect, and now more of a manager. I myself have been using Workspaces for a few years now and for a lot of use cases, which I'll be discussing in just a minute.
Okay, awesome. Before diving in, can you explain more to our guests what Amazon Workspaces is and how it's best used?
Sure thing, no problem. So before I really get started, I want to say that I did write a lot of these notes down on our website, right here at runascloud.com/workspaces. So if anybody needs to drop during this call, or if they get bored and just want to read it, feel free to just come here. We also have a Run as Cloud community if any of you have any questions. And that's just at community.runascloud. That's just a Slack group. You can just enter your email. We'll send you a Slack invite. And we have engineers pretty much standing by to answer any of your questions, chit chat, or whatever. So Workspaces. Workspaces is a desktop as a service. Some of you may be familiar with the term VDI. Just essentially a virtual machine hosted to access over the network. This is very similar to that, but in the cloud. So Workspaces is Amazon's offering. It's probably the most well-known. There's also these desktops by Citrix and Microsoft. They have their own competing projects or products. I haven't tried them out, but I do hear that AWS's model is the easiest to get started with. But if anyone here actually has used Microsoft's version or Citrix version, please reach out to me and let me know how it is. And so here on Workspaces, you can run Windows desktops and you can run Linux desktops. Today, I'm actually going to show a Windows desktops. In fact, I'm actually demonstrating this right now. I'm doing this call on my MacBook. So yeah, this is Workspaces. Not much to demonstrate on a desktop. I mean, I think everyone here knows how a Windows desktop works and has used one in the past. But just to demonstrate, this one I have installed Microsoft 2016, which you can actually automatically provision with. I know a lot of people are on Office 365, so you can create your own machine, install that. In fact, you can even image it, so you can have a baseline image to give to all of your employees. As you can see, the responsivity is pretty good. If I were to actually be making a presentation for this, I could pretty much do it on the fly as I type. It's almost instantaneous, just like it was on my own local machine.
Awesome. Okay, so now that we've seen how to use the platform, can you tell us why it's important for our guests and when moving into working remotely, and how does this make it easier and more efficient work lives for employees?
Sure. So if you're running on, say, your local computer as a Mac box or a Linux box, and you really need access to tools that run only on Windows, and especially during these times where it's potentially a little bit harder to go out and get a laptop or get one mailed to you, this is just a very easy way to very quickly get set up, have your computer, give it as much resources as it needs. You can have anything from a very basic desktop to one that can run very graphics intensive applications. This allows you to kind of bring your own devices for your employees without having to allow those devices on your network as well. I know a lot of companies are very concerned with security. They don't want random devices with who knows what on them on their network. Another great use case is getting your contractors and employees set up without needing that time to mail them a laptop. If you have someone doing a project for a week, it could take a week or two to get them their initial setup. And with this, you can get it in just a few minutes. Other use cases, if your computer breaks, you can get back to work relatively quickly. And of course, IT people like this because everything is technically one piece of hardware. They don't have to worry about supporting, 30 different types of laptops with, 50 different types of drivers on it. And yeah, so those are some of the use cases.
Okay, awesome. And what reassurances do employers have that their business information and proprietary data are protected by using Amazon Workspaces?
So this hooks up directly into your cloud network. You host this on your own VPC, which means you control access to it on the network level. That means you can restrict it to just your employees, restrict it to just certain IP addresses. You can track what's coming in and out of there. You can also restrict to just specific devices by requiring those devices to have a very specific certificate installed before that device is even allowed to connect to a workspace. And then lastly, you have access to all of AWS's security, their physical security, their certifications, their data centers have all of the compliance certifications. In fact, you can even run workspaces on for federal government workloads in FedRAMP compliant mode and on AWS GovCloud, which is a whole separate set of hardware just for federal government workloads.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I want to encourage people to ask some questions. We're going to go through a little bit more, but we have a couple questions coming in. So make
Great.
sure you're using that Q&A box to ask any questions that you have for Jake. Let me see here. And how is this easy to install? How is this easy to install and set up?
It's very easy to install. So what you need to use this, you need really about 3 or 4 different things. You need an AWS account. Very easy to set up. You pretty much just click a button, enter your credit card information, you have AWS, and that comes with a whole lot of free tier. So it allows you to try out not just Workspaces, but a whole lot of other services. EC2, which is hosting actual servers, anything from storage, video encoding. So you need that, the AWS account. You need some sort of a client to access it, and they pretty much offer this on every device. This can work on a Mac like I'm running right now. You can run it on your Android or an iPad. Works obviously on Windows. Your Chromebook, I know a lot of people have Chromebooks and they're not much processing power on them, so they pretty much just connect right to the internet. Fire tablet, runs in the browser. Not as good as the native client, but if you really just need access to something in a pinch and can't install software, it's nice to have that option. And there is a Linux option. I use the Linux option a lot. The only limitation of that is you can only use the Linux client to connect to Windows workspaces, which I find a little bit weird that you can't use Linux to connect to Linux, but I'm sure they'll figure that one out soon. And other 2 things you need a directory to store your users. Again, you can set that up as complicated as you want to connect to your Office's Active Directory, or you could just use the wizard, the one-click button to do it. And the same goes with your VPC, that network that I talked about. You can use your existing network or click a button and have them created for you.
Awesome. And what's the cost of Amazon Workspaces? Is it low cost, high cost? What's the payment and how do the payment options work?
Relatively low. So right now we have this pricing page right over, let's see if I have this pulled up right here. So what do you need? You need that VPC like I talked about. That costs anywhere. VPC is free. You're going to need network connectivity. You're going to need to pay for bandwidth. So that costs money. If you're not doing a lot of traffic, it doesn't cost a lot of money, a few dollars a month. You're going to need devices to help with that internet connectivity. Again, all this is created for you, but you can expect to pay anywhere from $10 to $35 a month. And you're going to need that directory. If you have your own Active Directory, you'll set that up, or your IT guy will set that up for you. Again, that can cost anywhere from $30, $35 a month for the very simple version to store users, and pretty much the same cost if you're connecting it to your own Active Directory. That's your basic setup cost. That's you pay once, and that's for as many workspaces as you want. The actual workspaces right now are free. At least a lot of different models of them are free for the next few months. And you can have up to 50 workspaces, and that's included on the free tier. There is some fine print on what exactly qualifies for this, so I definitely recommend reading it before you just start going. Otherwise, you might be using something that isn't covered. And then once that free tier ends, Pretty affordable. I use a standard most of the time. Probably could get away with this value option with a little bit less memory. And you have the option of paying either per month, in which case your instance is always on and ready for use. And this is something that's great if you're using this every day as your main device. Or if you're like me and you only use this occasionally when you have a very specific use case, you can just use that hourly pricing. It'll charge you a smaller flat fee per month, and then you just pay for every hour you're using it. And what I like about this is if I forget to turn it off, I can set it to turn off automatically after an hour or two of an activity. After that, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to turn back on when you're ready to use it. Same as booting up your regular laptop.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's jump into some questions that we have from the viewers. So Matthew wants to know what are the pros and cons of using AWS Workspaces versus VMware workstations?
Okay, sure. So VMware Workstation is that VDI I talked about. You actually need to host that infrastructure yourself. Again, I don't have a ton of experience working with VMware, but what I do know is that the technology for actually connecting to that is a little bit different. Amazon rewrote the technology so that it's much faster. You're not actually really interacting with the server as much as you're kind of interacting with the mouse and the keyboard. So you get very good responsivity, as well as the ability to really integrate into your existing cloud environment if you have one.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Eric wants to know if you can talk about preventing file transfer from workspaces to the employee's personal devices.
So again, if they can see it, they can always generate a QR code and scan it. So when it really comes to data exfiltration prevention, you're going to do that in the exact same traditional way that you would be doing it for your laptops. You can install those agents. You can create images, force users to have the software running. When it comes to network traffic, say they're sending a file out, well, then you actually have a lot more control because you control that network. So you can check your VPC flow logs, sorry, not flow logs, but you can check your network traffic. On Amazon, there's actually a feature to mirror all traffic. So if you have a data loss prevention system in place, you can be scanning that traffic just like it was a laptop on your network.
Okay. Wayne wants to know, are these HIPAA compliant?
I believe so, if you set it up correctly. So Amazon is HIPAA compliant. Again, it really depends how you're using them. But okay, as just a base image, yes, you can use these with HIPAA.
Okay. Eric also wants to know, does AWS offer CloudFormation templates for managing things like license keys, packages, software, etc.?
So it's not in CloudFormation, although it might integrate with CloudFormation, but what you have is the application package manager, and you could use those to install any number of, there's a few things like Microsoft Office that you can use bundled and have this like marketplace. But what pretty much you do is you upload the bundles on your own as well as the license information. You can create your own images, and then you can actually give people the ability to almost shop from your marketplace and install these softwares.
Okay. And you might have just answered this question, not sure. Nicholas wants to know if you can run software like Adobe Photoshop or Premiere through this.
I've never tried it. The hardest thing I've tried to do was The Sims. And it ran okay, but I think we're going to need to bump that power up to get it working a little bit better. But there are these, let's see if I can find it. We do have these graphics options. You can see they're relatively expensive, although I'm sure if you're just using it for an hour or two of work, it's more affordable. But you can see these have a lot of video memory.
Yeah, you need a lot.
And a GPU.
Understood. Okay, so if I don't see any other questions coming in, but just in case there's any last minute questions, why don't you tell us what the top 3 takeaways are from this presentation and the usefulness for Amazon Workspaces for small businesses?
Sure thing. I think the takeaways is that it's easy to use. When you need something in a pinch, when it's a situation like now, where you realize all of a sudden you have 40 people that need laptops and the Apple Store's closed, this could be a good solution for you. Other thing is, just remember that you can leave them off. They do, make sure you do turn on that auto turn off if you're not using it to save some money. And again, if you need any additional help, check out the notes. Like I said, it's at Run as Cloud. That's 3 words. .com/workspaces, and please join our community. We have a whole bunch of engineers. They're just, sitting there ready to answer questions and, debate minutia, just like we do.
Okay, awesome. And Matthew also wants to know, is this a solution for BYOD, which I believe is bring your own desktop?
Definitely. You can run it on your own devices, and it just connects securely to Amazon.
Okay, there we go. Well, if no one has any other questions, I think we are just going to wrap up here. Jake, thank you so much for your time. Oh, wait, Matthew also wants to know, if my employee doesn't have a computer, how can they use this?
They can use it on their tablet or their cell phone. I think a tablet's probably better though.
Yeah, you did show that it's pretty compliant with like all of the different devices.
And I'm wondering, maybe the web access could be used if you're going to obviously not now, but if you do go to a library, you could probably use the web version.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so if anybody has any more questions, then please go to Jake's blog here that he has set up for you guys. It's on Run as Cloud, and then you just hit blog. I believe it's the first one that pops up. I saw it up there this morning. So if you have any more questions, you can ask them via that. And then Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that this was very informative for the viewers, and we appreciate you coming on, and we can't wait to see you back at downtown. Jake is one of our members.
Yep.
So thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. And for everyone else, please make sure that if you're interested in 2D communication techniques, that you sign up for our webinar tomorrow with Carrie on Panos. It's going to be very interesting. And with that, I will end this meeting. Again, please go to Run as Cloud to ask Jake any other questions that you have. And thank you for joining. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.